my questions was, because the Georgia General Assembly is controlled by Republicans, how do you foresee yourself handling this prickly conundrum? Do you feel there are other ways you can represent or fight for us? Do you think it's about establishing relationships with your GOP opponents? Do you think it's about increasing voter education? So I know you've kind of answered those already, but if you want to add anything to those questions.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about the relationships with the GOP, because I think that's a good thing to talk about. I think you have to build relationships, and I am a person who I know what I believe. I know why I'm in this party. It's because of the policy goals of the party, because the party tries to bring in everybody, which I think the other party does not. But at the same time, there are times to compromise. You just can't compromise too much. But I think relationships are hugely important to that. They're just, something happens when we get face to face and we start relating just as human beings. We kind of get out of that sort of cable news bubble and internet bubble that tells us that we're enemies. And I think that there are a lot of areas where there's broad agreement, and I think that just because you're in one part or the other doesn't make your motives pure or impure. And so, you just try to connect with the other side on issues that will lift us all up, policy goals that will lift us all up. There are a lot of things like that. And just, try to see each other as human beings who are both there to work for the people who sent us there, and not as adversaries.
Mm-hmm. Do you know any, you're not in the Georgia General Assembly, but do you know any information about the two bipartisan bills that I think they were working on? One was sex trafficking and one was mental health. Did you hear anything about those?
The one I know that I know a little more about is mental health, and that was a priority that that Speaker Ralston made from the beginning. He brought in Rep. Mary Margaret Oliver, a Democrat of Decatur, from the very beginning. She is a great example of somebody who has a lot of respect on both sides of the aisle. She's had committee leadership, even under a Republican majority. So my understanding of the mental health bill is that it's going to cover quite a lot more. Georgia was sort of very near the bottom in terms of mental health coverage. And so while this isn't perfect, it's definitely going to increase the amount of coverage, and that's a win for everybody.
Mm-hmm.